You know, for more than 30 years now, there's been one movie that just screams holiday chaos. I'm talking, of course, about the 1990 classic Home Alone. So today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and find out where the cast that made this masterpiece is now, in 2025.
Yep, you know that scream. We all do. It is the official sound of pure, unfiltered parental panic. And man, has it been echoing through our holidays for 35 years now?
So, it really makes you wonder, right? What happened after the credits rolled? I mean, from the kid who was a total genius to the burglars who just could not catch a break, believe me when I say their real-life stories are honestly wilder than any of those booby traps.
All right, let's kick things off with the main event. In one corner, the brilliant kid mastermind. And in the other, well, the two most hilariously incompetent criminals in movie history. Okay, so first up, you gotta start with the man, the myth, the legend, Kevin McCallister himself, Macaulay Culkin. Back in 1990, he was literally the face of childhood genius. Fast forward to today, and he's a dad, a total pop culture icon, and get this, an actual inductee into the Pizza Hall of Fame. You can't make this stuff up. But you know, his journey was definitely not all smooth sailing. There was some really intense family drama, and he ended up getting legally emancipated from his parents when he was only 15. It's actually an incredible story of resilience, because after a really public struggle with fame, he's come out the other side as this super happy dad and a genuinely loved public figure. It's awesome to see. And who could possibly forget the so-called brains of the operation, Harry? I mean, Joe Pesci came into this role fresh off of Goodfellas, so he brought this legit terrifying energy. But now, at 82, he's just an absolute legend who, believe it or not, spends his time singing jazz, and of course, still teaming up with Martin Scorsese. Okay, so Pesci's commitment to this role was just next level. For that hat on fire scene, he actually burned his head, for real. And here's the spicy part. To make sure Kevin was genuinely scared of him, he was intentionally super intense with Macaulay Culkin on set. Culkin himself even said later, yeah, Joe was intense, but hey, it made Harry scarier. That's some serious method acting. And then, of course, you have Marv, the man, the legend, the source of maybe the most iconic scream in all of cinema. Daniel Stern was just the king of slapstick. But his life now, it could not be more different. The guy's a professional artist, a sculptor, living out on a farm. Who would have guessed? And his creative side goes way beyond just Marv. Get this, a lot of those ear-piercing yelps, totally improvised. He also wrote a whole memoir about his experience. Oh, and does his voice sound familiar? That's because he was the narrator, the adult Kevin on The Wonder Years. He basically took all that on-screen clumsiness and channeled it into this incredible artistic life. All right, let's step inside the McCallister house now. What happened to the family that, famously forgot their own kid? Okay, let's talk about the absolute queen, Catherine O'Hara. As the frantic Kate McCallister, she was already a comedy powerhouse, but her career since then, it has just skyrocketed. I mean, at 71, she's Emmy-winning royalty, known and loved all over the world as the one, the only, Moira Rose from Schitt's Creek. And her comedic genius is just, it's off the charts. You remember that classic meltdown scene in the airport, the whole freak out? Totally improvised. She's also a legend in the voice acting world, been happily married since 1992, and she's still crushing it in huge shows like The Last of Us. Just an absolute legend, no drama, all triumph. And of course, we have to take a moment to remember the wonderfully flustered dad, Peter McCallister, played by the great John Hurt. He brought so much charm to that role. Very sadly, he passed away back in 2017 at the age of 71, but he left behind such a fantastic legacy of work. All right, time to talk about the bully we all absolutely loved to hate, Buzz. Buzz, your girlfriend, woof. Devin Rattray was just the perfect older brother. And as an adult, he's actually become a really successful character actor, popping up in awesome movies like Hustlers and Keamy. Yeah, he even came back as Buzz in a recent Home Alone movie, and he's the frontman for a band. But his life has had some pretty serious bumps. In 2021, things got complicated when he ran into some legal trouble for assault. It was a story that definitely caught fans off guard, and he did end up pleading guilty to some lesser charges.
So what about the other McCallister kids? Well, they've had some pretty fascinating lives too. Linny is now an Obie-winning writer. Jeff actually swapped acting to work behind the scenes as a set electrician in New York. But the most mind-blowing transformation, that has to be Megan. The actress, Hilary Wolf, became a two-time judo Olympian for Team USA. I mean, talk about a glow-up. Okay, so let's step outside the McCallister house for a minute and check in on the neighbors and local authorities who made Kevin's neighborhood so unforgettable. And man, you just have to talk about old Man Marley. Robert's Blossom brought so much warmth and heart to that misunderstood hero. What a cool story, too. He was a Harvard dropout who went on to become an Obie-winning legend on the stage. He passed away in 2011, but left us with one of the most touching parts of the whole movie. And what about the, let's say, less than helpful Officer Balzac? That's Larry Hankin, and he's the definition of a, hey, it's that guy actor. I promise you've seen him. He was the grumpy Mr. Heckles on Friends. He was Old Joe on Breaking Bad. The man is an absolute legend, and he's been in everything. So here's some fun trivia for you. He's a veteran of the legendary Second City improv group. He even auditioned to play Kramer on Seinfeld. But maybe the wildest fact of all, his very long and varied career includes directing an erotic short film. Yeah, you heard that right. It just goes to show you never really know the full story. So, after all this time, after all these wild, surprising, and incredible life stories, what is it about Home Alone? Why is it still 35 years later an absolute must-watch every holiday season? Well, I think it's because deep down, it's about way more than just paint cans and silly burglars. At its heart, it's a story about empowerment, right? It's this timeless lesson that with a bit of ingenuity and a whole lot of guts, even the littlest person can stand their ground and discover just how strong they really are. I mean, from judo Olympians and incredible artists to, yes, Pizza Hall of Famers, the real lives of these actors have been just as unpredictable as any of Kevin's booby traps. So I gotta ask you, which one of these stories surprised you the most? Thanks for tuning in.